Alright, so as the thumbnail suggests, Stray is a game that is definitely worth your time and super worth playing through. So much so that I finished it on the PlayStation 5 last night, and then I decided I was going to go ahead and grab it for the Steam Deck as well. And you know what? I will probably end up getting that fancy collector's edition from iam8bit so I can have a physical copy of it too. Seriously, I just love the game that much, but rather than continue gushing on about it in just some vague sort of way, here is a closer look at what you can expect from Stray if you're curious about that game, and why I think it is such a tremendous experience that you should not miss out on wherever you decide to play it. Also, full disclosure before we get started, any of the gameplay footage of Stray that I'm featuring in this video will be from its opening hours and nothing from the late game, or if there is any footage from the late game, I'll make sure it's positioned in such a way that it's not going to spoil anything. So, all that being said, we should probably go ahead and get started right about meow? I'm sorry, I just couldn't help myself, Super Troopers. Alright, let's just jump into it. For starters, the title Stray is really a fun play on words in and of itself, because it obviously conjures up imagery of a stray cat, but then it also is like this subtle hint that even though Stray is largely a linear affair that's sort of dressed up in a pseudo-open world, you're rewarded for straying off the beaten path and taking time to chill in this world and basically uncover a variety of secrets. It kicks off by putting you in the paws of a ginger cat, which I found to be super relatable, and you're just sort of running around with your cat buds, roaming through this dystopian future world before an unfortunate chain of events separates you from all of your kitten friends. This is where the game really kicks off, and you'll spend the bulk of your time navigating an underground city, but rather than being filled with fleshy humans, it's almost exclusively populated with bipedal robots. And from here on out, you, along with an unlikely drone buddy, will go on an adventure to get back to the surface. It's a pretty straightforward setup, but the experience as a whole is anything but vanilla. Let's start with the whole being a cat thing, because it's super fun, and while I mentioned that Stray is mostly a linear affair with a pseudo-open world, that world feels so much bigger thanks to being a tiny cat buddy. And the sense of scale that you get being a tiny cat running through these gigantic underground slums is really thrilling. Now, beyond the raw joy of exploration, you'll also do a lot of other stuff that cats normally do, like scratching stuff up, batting at things curiously, or nimbly navigating this massive space all nimbly-bimbly as you sling through the alleys of makeshift bars, and all manner of nooks and crannies that are snaking throughout the city. Stray even has a dedicated meow button, which I spammed constantly. You can also take cat naps, which I thought was a real treat, because whenever you crash out for a little bit, the camera will pull way back and sort of serenely let you take in this breathtaking design of various locations throughout the city. It's not too dissimilar to Ghost of Tsushima's Hot Springs or the haiku segments you would find where you can just sort of chill for a few minutes and take a break from your current quest. And these quieter, oasis-like moments are really beautiful, and they go a long way towards letting you soak in all of the gorgeous artistry that's on full display. And much like real cats, occasionally on accident you can be a total jerk. But thankfully most of the robot buddies that you'll run across are pretty forgiving. Although some of the robots you encounter will be skeptical if not outright fearful of you for reasons that I won't spoil here. But let's talk about bots for a second. As the other predominant life form in Stray, they are incredibly well realized. So much so that in a lot of ways they feel more human and lifelike than a lot of games that have just straight up regular humans. They only communicate through translated text that your drone buddy helps you out with, but they're rich with character. Some are joyful and thriving, while others are forlorn about their station in life, and Stray just does a really good job of making a robot world feel richly realized with all sorts of different robots who have all sorts of different feelings about the world that they live in. Some begrudgingly accept this life, while others think that the idea of an outside world is a nice one, but ultimately probably the stuff of legend and, just a pipe dream at best. Most of your time in Stray will be spent navigating its environments, which naturally have a lot of verticality to them. And since you're a cat, it's a whole lot of fun to see buildings that look crazy tall, but then know that you can totally navigate just about anywhere with relative ease. When you're not piecing together the mystery of this new, or I guess I should say old world, there are a few different activities that you can take part in. And those will mostly be solving puzzles, searching for clues and memories, or evading a handful of threats that aim to impede your progress. Each of these activities is fun and rewarding, and mechanically speaking, it all gels together really well. You might hit the occasional platforming section where Kitty gets a little bit hung up in trying to find the next promptable ledge to jump to, but it's hardly immersion breaking and these moments are few and far between. And Stray does an excellent job with its pacing, making sure that all of these activities are mixed up on a regular basis so that you're never doing the same thing for too long. It really keeps any one activity from overstaying its welcome, so you can just try to get your adorable cat friend onto his next objective. Peppered throughout the half a dozen or so main sections that make up the game are memories you can pick up that flesh out the world and its story more fully. Blue are for minor memories, and orange chunks are for major, unmissable memories. After about 4 or 5 hours of playtime, I think I got all of the optional memories except for maybe 3 or 4 of them, and I really want to go back and see what I missed out on when it comes to this story, but to be fair, I will probably do so on the Steam Deck this time. Speaking of which, if you are interested in Stray, which version should you actually go for? From what I've gathered mostly from Digital Foundry's excellent breakdown on Stray's tech, the PS5 is the best all-around version from a performance and visual fidelity standpoint, but they readily admit that whether you're playing on PS5, PS4, or PC, you're going to have a great time regardless, as no version is like extremely extremely deficient or anything, from a technology standpoint. Now, practically speaking, if you already have one of the higher tiers of PlayStation Plus, it'd be almost silly not to go ahead and play Stray on PS4 or PS5, considering you can basically play it for free. And the PS5 does admittedly have a little bit of an edge for me just because the DualSense features there are subtle and just really well executed. For instance, you can feel the resistance of the triggers when you go to scratch up a couch, or hear the subtle purr of your feline hero when you plop down for a nap, and when you meow, your little cat buddy's voice also comes through the DualSense speaker, which is really nice and kind of immersive. However, that being said, I also think it's a great choice for the Steam Deck just by nature of it being a shorter, punchier experience that's really more of an art piece to some massive game in the way that you traditionally think of an action-adventure experience. It's quiet and relaxing and thought-provoking and just a sterling example of a game that makes a strong argument for viewing video games as art. And in that vein, like a good book or your favorite movie on a rainy day, the more intimate experience of exploring a world like this in the handheld format is definitely appealing, and I could certainly see myself playing Stray at like a coffee shop or right before bed and just, serenely sort of taking in its neon-soaked city streets and appreciating its chill, subdued soundtrack. So if you can play it on the PS5, I think that's a great place to do it, but make no mistake, I think it's an excellent experience for the Steam Deck as well if you're just looking for a chill, relaxing sort of narrative experience to just kind of get lost in for a few hours. So yeah, to wrap this whole thing up, just, suffice it to say that I think Stray is an incredible game, and it is way more touching of a story than it has any right to be for a game that's only like $30 and only a few hours long. And if you have the ability to play it, again, wherever you decide to indulge this experience, I highly recommend it. Again, if you already have access to it through, one of the higher tiers of PlayStation Plus, it probably makes sense to go ahead and play it there ostensibly for free, but no slouch on the deck either, and, it's already a verified title on there, so you're sure to have a good experience there as well. But hey, what about you? Have you already played Stray, or is it a game that you are looking forward to? If you, like me, have already beaten it as well, I would love to hear your thoughts on this title in the comments below. As always, thanks for taking the time to watch the video. It means a lot to me. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one.